All right, it's the first week of the fall season. You are showing up ready. Cleats are tied. You got the fresh gear on. Shoes ready to roll. Those sneakers sneaking. And everyone's talking about how hard they were working all summer, right? I mean, you can see it time and time again. Oh, this person's working really hard. Oh, I'm working really, really hard. But the truth is, everyone says they're working hard. Everyone says that they want it. Everyone says that they're hungry. But when the time really comes, when the workouts are really pushing us, when it's 5:30 a.m., the rain is coming down sideways, and the coach is watching how you respond when you're not that starter, when you're not in that role, at least to start the season, that is when the pack really starts to separate and we see the true characters and who the true people are. This episode is how to separate yourself from the pack, not just with the talent, but with every invisible skill, every mental skill and exercise and thing that you bring to the table that can make you undeniable to the coaches, to the teammates, to yourself for that role that you are working for. Hey y'all, welcome to the Mental Performance Playbook, where we are breaking down elite mental strategies and delivering them in actionable exercises that we can apply immediately. My name is Gabe Rummel, mental performance coach, founder of the Athlete's Health, and creator of its Phrenomic Gym, where we are training your mind just like we train your body. Now, each week, we focus on a mental performance theme that is going to help the athlete or a coach or a parent that's trying to help the athlete have these practical tools, these exercises to build back stronger, have that focus, have that resilience, have that confidence, and build it all up. Now, this week's specific theme relates to the time of year that it is, where we are starting strong this fall. And we got 5 mental exercises to really help you separate yourself from the pack. So without further ado, let's dive deep into starting strong and separating from the pack with some quick exercises. I've been liking the quick rundowns, and it looks like people have been liking them too. So we're going to keep going through them quick. And also just got to point out the TAH shirt. New ones are coming in soon, but it looks like I put on the XL today. Unfortunately, it's fitting a little big, but let's get right into these. So for number 1, we got standout signals. And this is about what coaches are really watching for and what they are really looking for. Because, if your coach already decided your role, what if it was about not just your stats? Because I'm going to give you a little insider information here that coaches evaluate more than just your end all performance. Yes, that is very important for the role, but especially early in the season, they're seeing the body language that is made after mistakes. They're seeing the encouraging or ignoring of teammates. They're seeing the sprinting from drill to drill versus walking from drill to drill and rep to rep, asking questions to make sure we know what we're doing or acting like we already know it and then messing up. These are some of those subtleties that coaches are looking for that you can bring to the table to be that leader, to show those aspects of what you have gained over the season in other ways besides just that actual end all performance and the stats. Yes, those are still important. But if we have 2 people who one person is performing, they have the stats that are a little bit better than the other person, but they are not a good leader, they're not a good teammate, and the other person is a great leader and a great teammate, a great communicator, who do you think is going to get the role? My money's on the person who's a little bit less, but a lot more in everything else. So the exercise that I want us to use here today is a game tape audit. And what this means is that for one full day of practice, maybe it's not the first one because you're kind of figuring everything out, but at some point in that first week, mentally imagine, put yourself in the spot, in the situation that you are being filmed 24/7. The whole time there's eyes watching you. You can go back and rewatch that practice and see what you are doing. If you need to, ask yourself, if this was a documentary about how I earned my role, what would that film show? And then this allows us to really rate our effort, our engagement, our energy from 1 to 10 after the session and be like, all right, I was filmed that whole time. These are the places I did pretty well. I'm going to see where I'm falling a little short. I'm going to adjust it for the next time. Now, hopefully, it'll be even better. And I'm still being filmed. I'm still having this game tape audit to add on to the coach's vision reality of what they're looking for in all areas. So I do stand out. I have some signals in other areas besides just the end all. Do I make the time, or do I make the shot? Do I make the pass? Obviously, we need to do those. But if it's close between you and someone else for a spot, and you're doing all these other things, good chance you do this number one, you might get it. Number two is the fact that mental reps really do matter, and we can win in the gaps as we're getting into this new season here in this fall seasons. My question is, what are you doing when you're not on the field? Are you just lollygagging, watching some TV, chilling, all fine things? But if we want to separate ourselves from the pack this fall, we can use some mental engagement when we're not in the drill. And this is what can really propel those second stringers into that first team leader, because we're looking at things that we are doing in the subtleties and the other ways. We're trying to figure out how we can get better when everyone else is just kind of chilling. And so I call this an invisible grind. This can be both in practice and outside of practice, but if it's during practice, you might not be able to write down, but you can look at three things that you're learning from just watching a rep, from seeing someone else do it, from seeing what the coach tells that person, and then you're taking that internal note to not do that same, I don't want to say problem, but mess up, blunder, and then make that note when you're stepping up to not do that. But instead of just saying, I'm not going to do that mistake, say, okay, this was the mistake. It was running in and out on the route, and he just hit a little too quick on the inside, and then wasn't able to juke the defender out as much. So instead of just saying, all right, I'm not going to do that quick move and not putting a lot of energy into it, say, I'm going to put more energy into that move so I can move the defender more, right? It's not looking at what not to do, but looking at how we're going to do it better. And then make sure we review it. Maybe we do want to tell a teammate, maybe it's not someone going for the same role. Maybe you do want to help them out, and you're going to tell them, hey, man, this is what I did for this one. It seemed to work. Okay. Maybe you tell it to a coach. You talk about it to a coach. Hey, I saw what they were doing, and I was trying to do that. What do you think? Did it work? How'd it go? Show that commitment, raise your awareness, get those mental reps in, and make sure they matter. So even if it's at home, we can do the same thing. We can think about the practice, think about the good things. We don't have to dwell on this the whole time, the whole day, the whole night, and think about it all the time. But get a couple reps in of that drill, of the new route, of the new play, whatever the case is. So then when it comes back in, you are winning in the gaps because you have more reps in versus everyone else, and you can show that. Number three is first in, last out is not just a saying. If your daily habits turn into your goals, what would you do in your outcomes? What would you do to make it impossible for a coach to ignore you? I know one thing I would do is start being the first one in and start being the last one out. Start cheering on some people, start encouraging them, to start making them come forward. This is that team part of it, but it really does come back to that individual outcome and performance, because that way that you show up before and after practice really does become a part of your personal brand as a competitor, as a teammate, as someone on that team, an athlete on that team. And so we want to make sure that we are building that personal brand and making it something that the coach cannot ignore. I can't say it's going to get you that starting spot if that's what we're working for, or for those scouts or anything else, but it surely will propel us. For this, I have a battle plan, a bookend battle plan. What I want us to do is in the morning, choose some type of mental routine. Okay, maybe it's some breath work, maybe it's a little prep script, something that you're saying to yourself, maybe an audio recording, maybe it's journaling something down, writing it down, writing the future down, showing it, proving it to yourself. Get something going before the game. Endless options. Hit me up if you need some more. I love to talk about these. But post practice, then get one physical or mental rep. I don't know. I don't care if it's stretching, film study, a little note to a teammate, something. Pick one to put in that puts you extra. right? That makes you extra, that gets you the last out, that adds more stuff. That's why we're doing the first, and maybe it is in the locker room and it's clean and it's organized something. Maybe it's helping someone out. Maybe it's at home, getting ourselves in that mindset, knowing what we're gonna do if we do make a mistake, which we probably will. But first in, last out can come in a lot of different ways. It's not just who's the first in the locker room and who's the last to leave, but there's a lot of different other ways that we can do this. So track it for a couple days, maybe for the whole week, and those results can compound fast. So see what it does to get us noticed. Season's only so long too. Maybe you're getting used to the one that you're doing and now you're going to add a little bit more on top. But that is one simple, easy way that we can put some actual action behind being first in and last out instead of just being the first in the locker room and the last out and wasting our time. Now that can really tie us into our number 4 of being the glue and how leadership exactly gets us the spot. And this is what I mean by it. And I'm just saying it or asking, like, if your greatest competitive edge was not your vertical or your speed, if you're beat out on that, how are you going to lead? And don't say I can't, because I promise you, you can. A lot of times the coaches are drawn to those athletes who make the whole team better. And this is where the edge equals out when the skill is not always exactly there. Now, of course, if your vertical is 18 inches, there's other people with the 36, 40-inch vertical, you got to work on that too. Like we're going to call it how it is. You still got to be physically at a similar level to compete there, right? If it's for an actual spot. But you can also still be a leader and not get that spot. You can still push people. You can still, and in a good way, right? It's not the annoying way. It's not the way that you're being hypocritical, but it's the way that you are doing the things you're saying. You just maybe don't have the capabilities of someone else, but you can still do it. So what I want us to think about is lifting on. And this is where this type of leadership comes I'm talking about, where each day or a week, choose a teammate to encourage, to help them out, to affirm them, to serve them, to give them a little value, to just help them, make them feel good on the team. Okay. You can even keep a note of this, of who you're impacting every day. Maybe it's a new high five, maybe it's a new comment to someone, but this is going to build that leadership muscle that's separating you from everyone else. And I hate to tell you this, but even if it does nothing to your sport, which it will do something to your sport, but even if it does nothing, it's going to do everything to everything else that you're doing outside of it. And you might not care about that right now, because all you care about, all that identity is wrapped up in your sport. But I promise you, you're going to see it cross in other things. You do this, you be the glue, you lead to get the spot, you lift one every day. You're going to see some teachers talking to you different. You're going to see some family talking to you different. You're going to see some friends and just everyone else, your colleagues, talking to you different. So lift one for that 4th exercise. And lastly, number 5 here. Like I said, we're flying through these here, but I like to just dish these out. Like I said, we just keep making exercises here at TAH. File cabinet full of mental exercises for us to use. So last one is, your role is earned and not given. Okay. Now this comes back to this mindset I want you to think about. If you took full ownership even before you had the title, what would that consist of? What would your mindset be? What would you have to go into this for? And actually, a good example of this is a high school around the area, and it's not my alma mater. But one of their quarterbacks, I was talking to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I mean, I'm probably gonna be the starting quarterback, but there's some good ones behind me, and if I need to play defense this year, because I didn't play last year, but if I need to play defense this year and not quarterback the whole time, then I mean that's what I'll do for the team. I mean that's what we have to do. And this is this exact mindset for this exercise number 5, which is actually titled, when we get into that how to do this, the undeniable owner. But it's really owning that process for yourself and for the team. Not only that you already have the role, but how the role will change and how it can change and how others are going to see you and see the benefits that you have and how you can perform under the pressure. This quarterback, I promise you, he could perform under the pressure. I was talking to him. I knew he had that thing in him. And I think that's why they could move him to defense and why they'd put another quarterback in, because they need someone to fill that spot more so, and he's better at it. And they have a better replacement for the quarterback than for that safety position or whatever one it was. And they were going to move that, and he was going to own that role and how that role changed. So if we want to be this undeniable owner as this exercise, we got to write down our ideal role. Maybe it's starter, captain, finisher, you name it. 5 behaviors that does every single day that someone in that spot would do. And then start acting like that immediately before you're even given the title. Now, this is like if the QB was wanting to be the QB, maybe it's the QB behind him to be the starting QB. But now in his instance, if he's having to switch over to that safety, he's going to be the undeniable owner of it. He's going to see, okay, what are the new behaviors that he needs to be at this version of the role, and how is he going to act on those every day? Maybe it is very similar to when he's being QB, but maybe it's slightly different. But ultimately, for this 5th topic of we have to know our role is earned and not given, we have to use this exercise as the undeniable owner to start putting ourselves in that position, either before it is given to us, like the backup QB was doing before his spot is given to him, or as soon as it's asked of us to change, like the starting QB would be changed to starting safety. All in all here, as we fly through them in my big t-shirt, fall sports are here in Iowa. The break is over. The window to separate is now. And that window also closes pretty soon. The season's somewhat long, 3 months. It goes by in a blink of an eye. That window closes just like that. So we have to separate as soon as it starts. And moral of the story is you do not have to be the most talented, but you do need to be the most dialed in. And then you probably, you still have to work on all the physical stuff because you gotta be up there too. That's some competition at that level. So, but to be the most dialed in, had a couple exercises, a couple topics for us to go over. All 5 of them right here, right now, was about showing what the coaches actually care about, being mentally locked in, even when you're not playing, building your daily edge with those invisible reps, leading, even if you don't have that title, and becoming undeniable before you are officially recognized. If we need those laid out here real quick, real fast, it was number 1, standout signals, what coaches are really watching for with that exercise, the game tape audit. Number 2, of mental reps mattering, where we have to win those gaps and be on that invisible grind even when we're not in there. We got first in, last out is not just into saying for number 3, where we have to book in the battle plan. We have that battle plan that we are getting ready before and after, and not just being in the locker room, but doing something while being there and leading, making it impossible to be noticed. Number 4, being the glue, how leadership really does actually get you to the spot. If we're doing this exercise, lifting 1, it might not be the spot that you are thinking of, but I promise you it's going to get you a spot in some other way that's going to present to you tenfold at some point in your career that we call life. And number 5 is your role is earned and not given. Use that exercise of the undeniable owner to undeniably own whatever spot you want, or the spot that you're trying to get, or the spot that you are put into. One last time here. This was strong starts for the fall. We had 5 mental exercises to separate you from the pack as you get into this fall season. My name is Gabe Rummel. If you liked these episodes, please give a 5-star review. Share this with a friend, a teammate, a coach, a parent, you name it. Have them listen, have them lock in. Check out the athlete's health. But I will catch you next week on our mental performance playbook. Peace.